Welcome, everyone. This is a session of the Natural and Common Law Tribunal for Public Health and Justice. Today is Sunday, March 22nd, 2026. And we're here to study the following question. I will read from, first of all, from the summary of reports, the recent Board of Directors Conference of the Interplanetary Confederation, as reported on pages 63 to 71 of Lady Columba, Venus Revelations by Dr. Raymond Andrew Keller, PhD, official Venus historian appointed by the democratically elected leader of Venus, the Queen of Venus. This is available at Amazon.com, and I've got the access code for that. The location of this conference took place aboard an interplanetary shielded spacecraft stationed halfway between the moon and the Earth. The co-chair of the conference with Commander Aura Raines, commander of Earth's moon base Clarion, which is located underground on the far side of Earth's moon under the galactic jurisdiction of the Interplanetary Confederation of more than 600 inhabited worlds. Just a short introductory statement by Commander Aura Raines. We have gathered here today to discuss the present situation of the Earth's civilizations that now stand at the same fateful crossroad that the lost planet Maldek once stood, just before the inhabitants of Maldek blew their planet to pieces in a major contest for planetary control between two sides and their satellite areas. The analogy to Earth's two sides is the United States of America nuclear weapons versus Russia nuclear weapons. Commander Aura Raines continues with her statements. This is a synopsis. Now, with the two greatest nations on Earth, the United States and Russia, running an arms race with a space race to the moon having been added, in a Cold War that followed two hot world wars with changing sides and shuffled allies according to momentary conveniences, we are afraid that the Earth will go the same fatal way that Maldek did so many eons ago, unless the Earthlings acquire enough common good sense to prevent such a calamity before it is too late, or we can do something about it if they do not, or at least minimize its efforts. The nuclear blast that the Earthlings have already set off to end their last World War, and in many practice tests for another World War, have caused the Earth to start wobbling on its axis, and as proven by the shifting of the small axis orbit in the northern latitudes, as such an orbit widens just like a top lurches before its flop. This most unusual event was noted by some earthly scientists, but was not broadcast for fear of public panic. It is now more than 23 degrees off balance. Thus, the process is going on step by ominous step, which will continue in the big shift in the Earth's axis that will tip over onto a new polar alignment. This will bring the oceans up over parts of land entirely engulfing the coastal area and exposing other parts now still underwater, much as the Earth's sleeping prophet Edgar Cayce had predicted. End of quote. That's Commander Aura Rain's statement, and we we circulated a research article to the tribunal. Included in that is a recent study of a university that concluded that a nuclear war would obliterate 5 billion persons and bring a nuclear winter to Earth. The 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 nuclear war that occurred on Maldek, which turned it into the asteroid belt, started the ice age on Earth. And the meeting on the far side of the moon concluded that already the Earth is at 23 degrees. We're like a top, but we're at 23 degrees, and the Earth scientists are covering it up because they don't want to include panic. And so uh, I could go and I could read the whole article, but we have sent it out to the tribunal. Uh, and I'm just wondering, uh, I can go through and summarize the article now for the tribunal. Would that be useful? It'll just be a brief summary of each of the scientific uh, articles that we did to prove each point. Would the tribunal like that or not?
Uh,
Give
uh,
me a sense.
Judge Alfred, since this is being recorded, I think that would be a good thing to do
Oh, okay, good. I'll
because
just
if I,
go.
yes.
Yeah, I'll just go to the first, to the top of the article, uh, which we had sent out a link to the tribunal. Excuse me. And by the way, we have circulated pictures of Commander Aura Rains, who has come to the Earth, meeting with Dr. Keller at a UFO meetup. They did a meetup with a public earthly audience with his latest book. And Dr. Commander Aura Rains came with her companions from the moon in a Venusian spacecraft, and they landed there and they went into the house, into the meeting room, and they attended the meeting up on the stage with Dr. Keller. So I can show you pictures of Commander Aura Rains. The Venusian humans have human can manifest in human bodies like ours. So let me. I'm I'm just scrolling. Okay, here we go. Interplanetary Confederation, whose representative met with President Eisenhower in spring 1955 to urge creating a Department of Peace, now warns that Earth's nuclear weapons and war conditions could trigger a planetary axis shift, causing global flooding and billions of human deaths.
Judge Alfred, can you screen share that as you're
Oh,
reading?
yeah, excuse me very much.
Yes.
I meant to do so,
Okay, thank you.
and I I just got distracted. Too many moving parts. Sorry about that. Here we go. Is that is that good? Can you see that? Let me just put the view. Is that good?
It's good for me. I don't know about the others, but for me it
Yeah,
is.
okay. So at a recent meeting, Confederation representatives warned that similar nuclear weapons and planetary bipolar armed hostility events on now extinct solar system planet Maldek caused planet Maldek's breaking up into the asteroid belt and causing Earth's then ice age. A Rutgers University recent report states planetary nuclear war to cause nuclear winter and 5 billion deaths on Earth. Putin's Russia is advising Iran with targeting information against Trump's America, creating parallel planetary war uncertainty dynamics similar to those which led to the planetary fragmentation and destruction of solar system planet Maldek in Earth's Ice Age times. Okay. My purpose, okay. Okay, and so the first article is, are UFOs nuclear sentinels? New evidence confirms what military witnesses have reported since the dawn of the nuclear age. Unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs or UFOs, have been monitoring humanity's most dangerous weapons. Spanish conquistadors named a desolate basin in southern New Mexico with prophetic insight, the Jornada del Muerto, Dead Man's Journey, in the summer of 1945, in the middle of the barren stretch of desert. Humanity crossed a threshold from which there is no return. At 5:29 in the morning of July 16th, a 100-foot steel tower at the White Sands Proving Ground held aloft a device conceived by physicists experimenting with the building blocks of reality. Soldiers and scientists lay face down behind concrete barricades 6 miles away, eyes squeezed shut against the coming inferno. The tower vanished in a brilliant flash, visible for hundreds of miles, including above the planet. At that moment, the target, the largest man-made explosion that had ever occurred, embodied Einstein's equations. Atoms transformed into fire like a newborn sun. The desert sand melted into jade green glass, spreading in every direction. The surrounding mountains, illuminated many times brighter than daylight, bore witness what that forbidden desert had become, not merely a journey of death, but the birthplace of a threat to all life on Earth. The radioactive cloud and debris from the blast reached an altitude of nearly 50,000 feet, contaminating the region and nearby towns. J. Robert Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb, had given the site the code name Trinity. Recalling the tests, he reflected, "We knew the world would not be the same. A few people laughed, a few people cried. Most people were silent." I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty and impress him, takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that way or another. Within weeks, atomic weapons were exploded over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, another era concurrently with the atomic age. Okay, this pattern began in 1945 as the plutonium used in the first nuclear test was being processed at Hanford, Washington. UFOs were seen over the site and on radar. They easily evaded fighters in the restricted airspace and were described in the Army Air Force documents as unidentified aircraft over the most sensitive nuclear facility in the country. Since then, official dismissals and ridicules have overshadowed serious consideration of what has been occurring at nuclear labs and bases with strategic weapons. Documentation and testimony point toward UFO, UAP visibility and intention. The National Investigation Committee on Aerial Phenomena published a comprehensive 1964 report. The UFO evidence, which stands as the first serious assessment, the nonprofit organization founded and administered by former military officers and scientists, assembled a convincing body of data that has been sidelined and buried for decades. In other words, to summarize it, UFOs started visiting Earth with the explosion of nuclear weapons. That's what is of interest. And they're monitoring us for that because it would endanger this planet, this solar system, and all planets. It's forbidden by the intergalactic law. The use of nuclear weapons is forbidden by intergalactic law, and the Intergalactic Federation consists of 600 populated planets. And we on Earth are violating it because Eisenhower was requested by the ETs in form of Commander Aura Raines and Commander Valiant Thor, who met with President Eisenhower and asked him to stop the Bravo test of the hydrogen bomb. And Eisenhower tried to do it, and he didn't have the strength. And the Venusians met with the USSR, and they didn't have the strength. So we're at the end point now. Okay, I could go on and read this article, but I've just summarized the gist of it. Yes, the ETs are coming here, but they were drawn here because we're exploding nuclear weapons and violating universal galactic law because we're putting the galaxy in danger, Earth, and we're putting Earth in danger. That's the situation. And the judges can go in and read this and the fine detail in this article. Interplanetary Confederation, whose representative met with U.S. Eisenhower in spring 1955 to urge creating a Department of Peace, warns that the Earth's present nuclear war conditions could trigger a planetary catastrophe. A similar pattern and dynamic of events on now extinct planet Maldek caused planet Maldek breaking up into the asteroid belt and causing Earth's then ice age. Rutgers University recent report within the last 2 years, states planetary nuclear war to cause nuclear winter and 5 billion deaths. Putin's Russia is now advising Iran with targeting information against Trump America, creating parallel planetary war uncertainty dynamics similar to those which led to the planetary destruction of solar system planet Maldek, leading to Earth's ice age. Resultant, nuclear war on Earth would cause a global famine and kill billions, Rutgers-led studies find. And here is the Rutgers-led study. Even a nuclear conflict between new nuclear states would decimate crop production and result in widespread starvation. More than 5 billion people would die of hunger following full-scale nuclear war between the US and Russia, according to a global study led by Rutgers climate scientists that estimates post-conflict crop production. The data tell us one thing: we must prevent a nuclear war from ever happening, says Alice Roebuck, a distinguished professor of climate science in the Department of Environmental Sciences at Rutgers, New Brunswick, and co-author of the study with Lily Jia, an assistant research professor in the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences, is the lead author of the study published in the journal Nature Food. Okay, and there you have the Rutgers University, a summary of the Rutgers University study. Russia versus US hostilities, analogy to the two polarity enmities on planet Maldek, a solar system planet destroyed by nuclear war leading to Earth's ice age. Russia is providing Iran intelligence to target U.S. forces, Washington Post reports by Reuters, March 6th. And I think we're at March 22nd today. This is Reuters. Russia is providing Iran with targeting information that includes locations of U.S. warships and aircraft in the Middle East, the Washington Post reported on Friday, citing three officials familiar with the intelligence. The extent of Russia's support to Iran was not entirely clear, but Iranian military's own ability to locate U.S. forces has been degraded since the U.S. and Israel launched strikes against Tehran last week, the Post reported. Now, since the Iran-U.S. war started, I started a Google News search entitled World War III. I have many Google News searches. Under World War III, I looked at it today, earlier. If you look at it, there are numerous news articles that say World War III. Some say World War III, you don't have to worry, but numerous say World War III could start. World War III has started. There's extreme instability in the world. The world is extremely unstable. No matter what one of the countries may say from day to day at the leadership level, the world is extremely unstable and could end up, as the Venusians reported, with the same dynamic that led to the blow up of Maldak. And that's what they were reporting. So, and Russia now is providing this information to Iran. And I was tracking the news. And so I tracked last night, I watched an interview with the main US negotiator with Russia. And he said, well, I was just on an interview with the Russians today, and they said, no, we have stopped giving Iran information. And, and then the commentator said, yeah, if you believe the Russians, I have a bridge in Brooklyn that I'd like to sell you. I mean, we're dealing with instability. Okay. So here we go. And so I've just come down again to the statement of the conference co-chair, Aura Reigns, commander of the Earth Moon Stability, co-chair Aura Reigns, commander of the Earth's Moon base Clarion, which I started this for. So before I stop the share, or should I keep this and have questions with this, or should we take questions with this? Should we have a discussion with this up? What do you think, Judge Howard, Judge Gina, anybody?
I think we can take this down
Okay.
and just so we're all
Okay,
reading.
good. There we go. Yeah, okay. Would you all like to see a picture of Commander Aura Reigns?
I'm going to say yes. I think
Yes.
I saw
Okay.
nods. Yeah.
Let me go. It'll take me just a moment. I hadn't. Whoops. What happened there? I've got to bring this in. Okay. Uh, I just got to do a little version here. I I just have to open a document which I'm opening now. Okay, I'm going to screen share, okay? Let me just
That's right. I don't have my.
oh boy. Damn it. This thing has just gotten close window, cancel. Okay, can people see that? Can you
Yes,
see what's on the
yes,
screen?
it's good.
This is I could go on to the published version of my book and show you there, but I just doing it from this is a book of mine that I just published on the Venusians. And so I just will have it here just a second. Okay, this is that's Dr. Keller right there in the with the tie and the yellow shirt. And see those two ladies with um, red berets? That's Aura Rains and a companion from the moon base that had just landed in a saucer. They were directed to come there by the Queen of Venus to support. And this is the commander of the moon base, Aura Rains, with Dr. Raymond Keller at the meeting with Dr. Raymond Keller's latest book, okay? And she came down, that's Aura Rains, came down from the moon base in her Earth body, okay? The Venus is an ascended planet, which means we're at the third dimension and they're at the fifth dimension. And that's the late Rob Potter. This book is dedicated to Rob Potter. He died a couple of days after Good Friday. We were doing an interview about life on Venus at a Buenos Aires, Argentina radio program. And he died just a few days after that program. And so I decided to write a book and dedicate it to Rob. But that's Aura Rains and Robert at that meeting, that public meeting,
No.
that uh, uh, Aura Rains came down from the moon to be with to honor Robert and Raymond at, okay? Raymond is the official Venus historian on Earth appointed by the Queen of Venus. And this is the famous photograph of Valiant Thor. This is Valiant Thor at the Pentagon, that was taken at the Pentagon. he was a Venusian emissary during Dwight Eisenhower's term, who met with Eisenhower and spent 2 years in the Pentagon, forestalling nuclear war on Earth. He tried to stop the Bravo tests of the hydrogen bomb, but he couldn't. But that's Valiant Thor, the Venusian in his Earth body. In other words, his 3D body, not his 5D body. Okay. This is as an exopolitician and a lawyer, I really enjoy this stuff. I'm the author of the book Exopolitics, and which launched the science of exopolitics, which is the science of relations among intelligent civilizations in the universe. And in January, my newest book, Exopolitics and the Advanced Civilization on Venus, was published. And this is you're reading the submission draft that I submitted to the publishers. Yes, Gina.
Judge, I've done some research into Laura Eisenhower, and one of the things that she said, I believe it was her, was that the reason that her grandfather could not be successful with trying to stop things is that the reptilians had made contact with the top 10 or 12 generals and whatever the commanders, and had already made deals with them in exchange for information on the Americans traded and signed treaties with the reptilians in order to get the specs on the UFOs and saucers and stuff. That's what I'd heard and what I'd read. Is that correct, or does that have bearing on this?
Laura is Laura, who is the great granddaughter of President Dwight Eisenhower, and a colleague of mine and a colleague of Jean's, is extremely well informed. And if that's her hypothesis as to the political and multidimensional political block that blocked the Venusians, see, this is exopolitics, then it might well be correct that it wasn't just Earthlings, but that the reptilians did it. And basically, the reptilians operate at 4D and the Venusians operate at 5D. And there's a big struggle for 3D.
But it's always the same battle. If you're an honest person with integrity, or an honest country with integrity, whatever, you're always following the laws, the rules, whatever, and your opponent, unfortunately, is not doing the same thing, and it seems to be spread throughout the galaxy. It's not just a human problem.
So
it's frustrating.
What we have tried to do at this tribunal is to be multidimensional. This tribunal came together around COVID, and we uncovered a conspiracy to depopulate the planet from 7 billion down to 1 billion. And then we had a trial, and we served our papers and our
writs.
Our writs of mandamus and assessing worldwide. Here, I haven't gotten to the legal part, but I would like to show you that we have the crime of ecocide, crimes against humanity, genocide, and I would like to bring to the tribunal an order to cease and desist, a writ of mandamus, a permanent injunction, and then to serve this upon all nuclear nations, Russia and the US, to serve it upon the UN and all UN member nations, and to bring all of this to public knowledge so that all the parties is known now. Look, this is what happened to Malbec. Look, you can't cover up anymore that the Earth is wobbling at 23 degrees off of its axis. They've been covering this up. And so our
23.
tribunal can make this public by serving it on all these parties the same way that we did with COVID. So that's what I'm just at the stage of the doing the factual presentation, but I want to do the legal presentation to the tribunal after that.
Judge Alfred, at some point, this is Judge Howard. I would like a discussion as to who should be served, because in my thinking and in my historical thinking and current thinking, I see more of a problem with the City of London, Chatham House, and the Council on Foreign Relations than I do with Russia versus the United States. For example. So,
Well, yeah, I mean the you can say that the City of London and the Illuminati, in fact, let's go further deeper. Let's go to the secret societies that manipulate the City of London, the Illuminati, the Rothschilds. They are under the City of London. The Rothschilds and the Illuminati control the City of London. So we can make those parties to our, in fact, let me make a note of it. So we have the Illuminati, we have the Rothschilds, we have the City of London. I mean, there are plenty of defendants to go around, but the USSR, okay, and Russia versus the USA, there's still a duality there that the Venusians have pointed to. You see what I'm saying? It's this duality that gets out of hand, and then people lose control, and that's what leads to the catastrophe and the axis shift. My first book, which was published in 1974, was The Age of Cataclysm, which was the axis shift predicted by Edgar Cayce. And it was published by G.P. Putnam's worldwide, translated into Japan, Europe, etc. And that was on the axis shift. And if we have the axis shift, it's like, woof, we're gone. And that's what the Venusians are talking about now is the axis shift. And that was, I've been on this case since 1974 with my book, The Age of Cataclysm.
right. I just noticed that Bobois has his hand up. So,
Who does? Oh, Papoys, yes.
Bobois.
Papoys. Yeah,
Thank
go.
you. Good morning. Ada Qual, Ada Kwikwi, how are you? And
Yeah,
Boboi's
good.
Kwikwi, how are you guys?
Yeah, great.
Thanks for your comments. I've been involved with. I imagine we're one of the older indigenous groups across what you know as Canada, but we'll call it Canatan. We deal with fourth and fifth dimension problems, manifestation, and creation. And I'm speaking to the Council and Alliance of Canatan. And deviation for the world has been changing at anywhere between 2 and 2 point something degrees every year for as long as I've been on the sea. And we're now at, I guess back in the 80s or 90s, we were at 17 degrees already from true
Whoa.
north. And so that fact alone is that the axis of the Earth changes deviation regularly on a year-to-year basis. So if you were to take a map out, and one of the formulas that you have to consider in traveling the world is that deviation, that you're no longer on a true north, but a magnetic north. And because we are in a proximity to a major sun, and I'm not going to get into the physics of the magnetic forces that the sun puts on the Earth, but it's going to change anyway. So I'm not sure if these are red herrings that we're chasing. I just want to make a point that the universe, the intergalactic space agencies, against the bad gray uh, uh, aliens. Back in around 2010, I was given an email from unknown source, asked me if I accepted the white aliens to challenge the gray aliens on this planet, and if I agreed, was to pass this email on. I agree that the white aliens, and I couldn't tell you whether they're Venetians or where they actually come from. However, that was one of my earliest points of alien sort of connection to the universe. And now, if I get back to our fourth and fifth dimension, is that you're talking about BIS and London and these families that control finances of the world. Well, that's changing now because the U.S. now has implemented a digital banking program that's going to do away with the Bank of International Settlements and the BizBank. And you haven't mentioned anything about the Earth Alliance and the military that's in place right presently that I gather. I know I listened to some intel from worldly people, I guess you want to put it, and including yourselves, that we are in fact in the hands of internet in smart people and intelligent life forms, and that we've been told that they have the abilities to neutralize atomic weapons and have done so across all the silos across the U.S. So the problem isn't necessarily atomic, and what the problem could happen if we go into atomic war, nuclear war, and we know what happens with that. I think that was a mistake that happened in 1963 with Nagasaki and Hiroshima. However, now we move forward, and I don't like the idea that we are in a woe is me, and if we don't happen to make changes. I believe that these changes are already being made. The U.S. and Russia aren't necessarily our enemies, but the money problem has been. It's like I think we got to bring up the idea that Maduro in Argentina was taken out because China was reliant on their their economics, and so U.S. and China aren't at particularly looking at each other equally, but from a money and a strategic economic point of view. So I have to say that at one point there will be an earthly organization that brings peace back to our people and universal law. And if these Venetians are true to form about bringing that peace on this earth, then I believe that the indigenous people, and we go back to 408 AD when we have a world treaty with all the nations, the white, the black, the yellow, and the red. And that treaty has been made and it's still followed letter perfect today. I have to say that because we have our historians that have followed that and still do today, and that was Meredith Quinn. And I believe that treaty still is accepted between Europe, Asia, Africa, and ourselves. And so, in saying that, I want to, as an observer, thank you for allowing me to speak a few words. We are at a point of there is no Prime Minister of Canada. There's nothing in Canadian law that states that there is a prime minister. That all the references to Mark Carney in Canada, that if we as the Indigenous people take back our lands and set straight the digital banking system that we could put in place for all the people, that we could be the dominant factor of world politics. And with I believe that that your tribunal is one of two international organizations that I believe in. The other one is the Federation of Indigenous Nations of North America, FANA. And so in saying this, I would like to say that that we're still proceeding. We're looking at our own banking, we're looking at our own finance, and we're looking at involving a way to have our military be a deciding force within the nations of the world once they join us. And we still hope that the Hopi prophecies still come true, that there's supposed to be two armies from the south that help us. And because I know that the treaties and the corporate structure of North America is still in our hands. And I think if I pointed out to Mark Rubio and the other guy, the head of the U.S. Treasury, understand that we are still the indigenous people of this of North America, that they will look at a way of bringing peace to this world through the military alliance. And what you suggest, Judge Weber, about who are the defendants, they know who they are, and it's just a matter of time before the money is taken away from them, because they have no more way of money laundering. So thanks, and I'll finish with that.
Thank you. Thank you, boys. Thank you. Okay. So, Judge Howard, shall we stop the share and go into discussion, perhaps talk about where we go from yes, Jean, Judge Jean, you're on mute. There you go.
Okay, I think I heard Papoy say in there's something else that's a problem after talking about how the different aliens can stop our nuclear weapons. And that's the only thing that, as I was listening to the whole letter, that I wanted to say that I think it's more than just the nuclear threat, causing not only 5 billion people killed, but also the Earth to wobble on its axis. And I say this because of my own life, which, if I can, before I decided to incarnate on this planet, this lifetime, and maybe all my lifetimes, but whatever. When I decided to incarnate here, I had come from somewhere in the Pleiades, and I was joining for the very first time an organization that had gathered because of the huge concerns about what was going on Earth. And I don't remember ever learning that it had anything to do with war or bombs, that it had to do with person-to-person relations, but there wasn't anything specific that traveled from that knowing to this Earth life. But I found out later on what it was, and that is that I decided to be born right into the heart of mind control, being born into a family with it on, all sides, and also onto the campus of UC Davis, where they were just starting mind control the year I was there. So I didn't know what I was getting into when I agreed to do that, but I've come to believe over the last few years that even though I started my activist life as a anti-nuclear activist, at this point I'm feeling that the most ripe, pregnant idea that we're supposed to embrace is that human trafficking is the poison, is the toxin that I came in, at least, and maybe a number of us came in to try to reveal and to relay the information to the conference about what's going on in these fields and how it's affecting people. And so this might just be a separate letter that's written, but that was the one thing that came to me, is that there is something else. It's not just anti-nuclear. It is the poison, the toxin of the way that certain people within our culture are destroying each other through torture, mind control, sexual abuse, and other sorts of trafficking. And that is the huge, huge thing that we are having a hard time talking about. I mean, nuclear war has been talked about for 50 years. I mean, that in my life, and 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 as a culture, we're just having a hard time accepting it. And so the Epstein stuff that's coming out right now, I mean, this is our culture's finally facing it. And my generation has been completely ignored, but we still exist. We are still here and struggling to be heard, to be recognized, and it's just too hot for anyone to touch. So I'd understand if this group wants to just make it a separate issue, but I think we need to address that also
Yeah,
at some point.
thank you. Thank you, Judgine. That has been duly noted, and I can see how it would fit within the dynamics of that would lead to a Maldek type of situation that would blow up the planet like a Maldek. So thank you very much. It's been your point has been duly noted in there. Judge Howard.
May I add,
Yeah,
may
go.
I add one thing to that?
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
I remember from the conference that the reason we wanted more information on this subject was that others in the conference wanted to blow up the planet
Others wanted to blow up.
in order to destroy the human trafficking, the torture, and the sex abuse, and all of that. They thought it was too hot, and that it even could go beyond Earth. It could turn in from a planetary network trafficking operation to an interplanetary, and they were ready to blow up Earth unless this could somehow be
Right.
taken care of.
Well, thank you. That is duly
So others
noted.
out there don't want to see us continue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, Judge Howard.
Actually, I'm really enjoying the discussion and where it's evolving to. We're told that in the unfoldment of what's happening and in terms of the narrative emerging, I think one has to go back to President Trump first term, all the executive orders on human and child trafficking, they still hold. He was one of the first presidents to take that seriously, still does. But when we mention, let's do like, what is the psychology of people who want to develop nuclear weapons, and knowing that in the creation of these devices, you can destroy all of Earth? And so now we have to peel the onion a little bit deeper. And so let's go back thousands of years to Cain and Abel, some of the biblical references of those who basically are satanic,
Yeah.
have cultures where they eat and sacrifice children.
Were they what children? Sorry?
Eat, they both kill and eat children, and what we're finding out through the now through the Epstein files, we're actually finding that has been happening by the highest elites.
Uh,
Who runs the world?
Mhm.
The honeypots of control? So
right.
there's hardly a politician or head of any large corporation that isn't entrapped some way. And so Jane, I really appreciate you actually going down this rabbit hole, and I like the rabbit hole of both voice as well, because something that resonates with me. Well, I can't validate this, but there are two things our space brothers and sisters do not want to leave this planet. our nuclear technology or our use of nuclear weapons, but the other, which is just as critical to them, is religion. They do not want the way we deal with religion, doctrine, and everything that has been created via it to go out into the universe. And so now I'm going down another rabbit hole.
Uh-huh.
And so remember George Bush Jr. I mean, he used to talk of like a Christian Zionist talk about Armageddon. I mean, some of these people who are close to the nuclear trigger are also, to me, psychotic cases of taking religion to the point where we will purify by pushing the button. So
Right.
so I'm not sure where I'm going now. Maybe too many rabbit holes, but I, I guess for me, I I I I see that we are on a course where we've already gone past a point where humanity is going to survive and move into a golden age. I hold that very dearly. When we refer to Edgar Casey, and I've read books, I do as much as I can. He always said nothing was written in stone. He gave warnings, and um, I think, for me personally, I think the world and some of the energies coming into the world right now, we are having a DNA upgrade. We are moving towards some sort of ascension, 3D, 4D, 5D. And once again, can't verify it. But maybe somebody on this call knows, if someone like Commander Ashtar exists. Is his ship called the New Jerusalem, which is an interesting name for a craft? And how is Earth being observed right now and being helped right now? And I don't know the answers to those things. Um, in terms of the comments saying, I've heard two others now who also said that our space brothers and sisters will not allow this type of technology to be used to obliterate Earth. I don't know the answer to that. Um,
Yeah. Let me reply just very
sure.
quickly that Aura Reigns at this meeting, the co-chairs say that the Venusians will intervene to prevent an all-out nuclear war that destroys Earth. But they are very concerned about the level of radiation, because it's a danger not only to Earth, it's a danger to the solar system and even to Venus and to Mars and to all the planets in our solar system, number one. And the axis shift is a danger. But you're quite right that there's an order that the Venusians and the Federation will intervene to prevent the destruction of Earth in a nuclear war. So there's that dual command. But the situation of Earth as a polluted planet that's polluting the solar system stands, and there's too much governmental and high-end controller polluting here that has to stop. We have to get the planet cleaned up. Nuclear weapons have to be outlawed, and we have to clean up the planet and get the axis shift stopped. that's sort of the message that they have. So Judge Gina wants to say, and Judge Howard is in the middle of his share.
So I just wanted to say that I believe strongly that number one, that the beings that are here and have been here for a very long time and are monitoring us, I believe strongly that they will step in when there becomes a critical point that we can't handle. Having said that, point number two is we all still have to do what we need to do in order to make that thing happen. And during COVID, I got shut down energetically and psychically after I had contact. I don't even know how I did it, but I had contact with, I would say, humanoid that was in one of the ships that were in space. And the first question he asked me was, "Oh, how are you talking to me?" And I said, "I don't know." I said, "I have no idea." I said, "But I really like you to tell me what's going to happen with all this COVID stuff." And he said, "Well aware of what's going on. I can't tell you anything." I'm paraphrasing, but that's the gist of what I remember. And then I got shut off. And I'm like, okay, so that left me with I've been a professional psychic half of my life, so I'm pretty sure the information I got was not some jumble from my brain. I'm pretty sure it was a clear message, and he wasn't human. He was human-like, but definitely not human. And so I'm thinking to myself, we have these ships in space, and they're monitoring us. And again, it's not. The reason I'm saying this is they're here of their own volition, doing what they know needs to be done. And how many humans on this planet can get out of their fear long enough in order to adequately do what they came here to do? We're not here by random, we're here by choice. And the sooner we get on board with what we're here to do, and some may not have it revealed until the very last moment. Some of them, like myself, already have an idea of what we're here for. And I think it's really integral that we keep the hope and we do our work. And I'm not the only one, I'm sure, that's had conversations with, but I don't think I'm the only one. And I'm hoping that people that have the courage to come forward and speak their truth, because a lot of people when they used to come to me for readings, they would say to me, "Oh, it's really cool what you do," and I'd go, "Yeah, but you can do the same thing. Wouldn't you like to be cool that way too?" But they always project their, how do I say this? They project their needs and their wants and their desires on the person in front of them when it's theirs for the taking without anybody else interfering. I'm rambling a little bit, but all of this is connected. Anyhow, thanks for listening as usual, and on to Howard.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Judge Gina. Judge Howard. Sorry, I cut you off. Were you do you want to continue a point or?
Well, okay, so I really welcome this discussion and sharing, and Judge Gina, thank you for doing what you did. I'd like to go back to Judge Jean, who's a judge, became a judge today. And she said some things at the beginning that I think tie in very nicely to what Judge Gina was raising. And why are we here now? What's our main role? I'm between my wife and I'm in, like Alfred, I know you're in your 80s, I'm in my 70s. And children, grandchildren. And so, we're constantly saying, well, what is our role? I mean, I'm involved in a lot of things like most of you are, but when you remove the external, and I won't call it veneer because it's all, but at the core of being here right now, I think for my wife and myself, what we truly see as our role is to utilize our consciousness as best we can and hold energetically so that the generation before us, after us, and we are in a transition point, an extreme one, that somehow we can energetically help that transition. I don't know how to explain it, but there it is. So I think out of everything we're doing right now to center ourselves, to energetically be a bridge between the old and the new, and to hold however we define that energetically, I think we're coming to the point where that's really, out of everything we're doing right now, that's one of the most important things we are. And I also see that for this tribunal. I mean, this tribunal should be very proud of the indictment it did in 2020, still holds. I still send it out constantly. Perhaps Boy knows Chief William Denby of the Kawartha Nation. I mean, they're going gang ho on multiple things right now, and I just it's just an incredible time. In so many areas. So in terms of perhaps Judge Alfred, if you can come back and isolate really what you want of this tribunal of these judges today, and whether or not you want to take something and take it to a vote, maybe it should go back to you so that you can sort of in terms of the discussion we're having, and maybe there are
Yeah,
others.
yeah. Well, I can here's what I would like. Should I keep this here, or should I stop sharing, or should we take a vote with the sharing?
I maybe somebody else, because for me, however you want to do it, and
Yeah.
however the others want to do it.
Okay. Why don't I stop sharing? Because there's just too much information, right? And there's nine issues in the chat. So that people may want to look at. But let me just almost in preliminary form just state what I would like to put out for a vote. I would like to take the statement of Commander Aura Rains as backed up by all the sources that we said, which we could put in a condensed form, and then create legally an order to cease and desist, a writ of mandamus, and a permanent injunction, and to serve this upon the heads of state of all nuclear nations, especially of Russia, the USA, and China, on the United Nations kind of directors and of all UN member nations, so that all of these people, there's no more cover up. Everybody's aware that Earth is a problem nation for the solar system. See, our radiation is a problem for the solar system and for Earth itself. So we've got to change and transform. And our axis shift is a problem for the Earth itself. We're not being proper custodians of our planet. We're a problem. They're saying, look what happened to Maldek. We don't want another Maldek. And we're in the Maldek category. And I'd like the tribunal approval to go forward with that and to serve it upon all the parties that I just stated. That's what I would like to put to a vote. Is that intelligible?
Judge Howard here. I like that. In terms of, would you include England, France? They have nuclear weapons as well.
Yeah, upon all nuclear nations. In other words, nuclear nations include India, Pakistan, UK,
North Korea, North
UK,
Korea.
Israel,
Yep.
all the nuclear nations. And then because the Venusians, the Interplanetary Confederation mentions the dynamic of Russia and US is similar to what brought down Maldek, we will, we're going to warn the world of what the Interplanetary Confederation meeting at the moon said. See, the ethic is that they can't warn the ETs can't warn the world. Only the world can warn the world. So we're taking it upon ourselves to warn the world of what the Interplanetary Confederation warned. So we're being good Earth citizens, and that's what a tribunal of conscience does.
I'm going to thank you, Judge Alfred, for just what you've just said, because that puts it into a clarity. And for me, with that clarity comes a comfort zone. So I can only speak on behalf of myself right now.
Thank you. So shall we put that to a formal vote? Does that make sense? I'll just say, all those in favor, raise your hands and say aye. Is that good enough?
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Um, I agree with all the points of it, but the one thing that made me remember I'm new to this. The one thing that gave me a little bit of pause was the photograph of Aura Raines and the fact that she looks so much like Erica Kirk. It just like was
That
like,
she
oh
looks
my
like
goodness.
who?
And I have Erica Kirk
Erica
with a little bit
Kirk?
more eye makeup on.
Far out. I would have
Yeah,
never
Charlie
thought that.
Kirk's widow. She looks like she just has a lot more eye makeup on. And so, because of my life experience, I am always testing everything against some paranoia that it might be misinformation, disinformation. And so I had that physical reaction, just had to share it with you, and I don't know what to do with it.
Well, I have to share with you that I reacted to the photograph of Aura Raines also. However, I was assured
Hmm.
by Dr. Ray Keller and when he was alive by uh, his colleague that Aura Raines is a Venusian, and that is the Earth body that she translated herself into. And what Aura Raines did, see, Aura Raines, that body of Aura Raines, I don't have the exact memory. That body of Aura Raines is over 150 years old. And she was reconstituted on the moon. And I can give you an elaborate, I don't know if you can see this because of my background, but I have a book here called, with all this, there's Lady Columba, Venus
The background is making it go away.
Revelations. Yeah. There's how the earthly bodies of these Venusians are made. And Aura Raines is actually a 19th century American that was reconstituted on the moon and became a Venusian. She became a Venusian citizen and was appointed commander of the Venusian moon base. And in my book, Exopolitics and the Venusian, the advanced civilization on Venus, which you can get on Amazon for $5.99. The hardcover costs you $79. That's how the inflation rate of paper
Right.
has gone. But I recommend that because I have a whole essay that when my original book, Exopolitics, was published just after the turn of the century, I had a whole bunch of UFO experts, all the lights, right? They wrote shining reviews of exopolitics. This is a new thing. And the word Venus and
Right.
Venusian was not mentioned in the book Exopolitics. And when I wrote this book, which was 25 years after the book Exopolitics, I, I went through my own Venusian aha experience. There are 30,000 Venusians incarnated on Earth as part of the Venusian Foreign Service, incognito. There are 50,000 virtually monitoring Earth, keeping Earth stable. That's how much of a danger planet Earth is considered.
I don't doubt it.
That's
Yeah.
how much of a danger planet. And they are keeping themselves just hidden. But
Mhm.
Aura Raines was a 19th century American who was woman who was reconstituted. She's over 100 years, and it was and she was reconstituted to appeal to earthly memes, kind of memes. Because my objection to her, which if you watch my early interviews with Dr. Keller, was she should look more Flash Gordon-y. So
Well, I'm sorry to take this off on this
I had the
tangent for my,
same kind
I'm
of
just new at this. Hmm.
yeah, I had the same kind of initial prejudice that you had, the same
Okay.
reactions that you had. So I'm just giving you my honest feedback.
Well, as a voter, I can't say anything about Aura Raines just because I'm so new to the subject matter.
Yeah.
But as for the content of it, I'm totally with you there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know how to take my vote, but
Yeah. So look,
okay.
what I'll do, it'll take me a good week or so to develop all the papers, and then I'll put them up and uh, circulate the links to all of the judges here, and then I'll start serving them. I'll have to get all of the lists of the UN, you know, member states, and all of the nuclear states and everything. It's just to make this uh, uh, to bring this out in public and to have it enter the dialogue. Now I have to say this. I was in it over the last 2, 3 weeks. I was asked to do 2 interviews uh, for a German, it's called the UFO Disclosure Convention 2.0, one of the largest UFO ET conventions on Earth, which is occurring in May 2020, 2026. So I have 2 interviews that I did that with Anja Schaefer and Dr. Keller and myself. And those interviews are up on News Inside Out, the same website that our Venusian thing went up. And they just released their trailer. And in their trailer, the present president of the United States, Donald Trump, is featured as stating that there are ETs. He's featured in the disclosure conference. So Donald Trump is a supporter of ET disclosure, which I didn't know.
Judge Alfred, and maybe some other judges on the call, those on the call in totality. The term woo. So sometimes you have to, I didn't realize, Judge Gina, you did readings, or that was part of your history. But every so often we have to have gifted individuals who operate differently from a linear way of operating. So, for example, in my life, I have a number of people in my life who would say that and I'm going to use this term very carefully, the real Donald Trump, not the real Donald Trump, who I don't think we've seen in a long time, is very much in touch with off-worlders, as was Eisenhower. So I have no idea.
So you think that the real Donald Trump is still alive?
Yeah, I do. That's
Oh,
what.
well, far out.
Um,
Just like the real JFK Jr. is still alive.
I don't know if he is. It would be wonderful. I'm looking at there would have had to be almost some technology to have kept him alive, because would be of what age right now if that were the.
No, I mean,
That technology exists.
if you go to Carrie Cassidy's Substack,
Yes, yeah,
she thinks that Juan O. Savin is John F. Kennedy Jr.
I've heard that. So I mean, looking back during COVID, during the 4 years of Biden, there were at least I can recall at least 3 or 4 Bidens, and I remember at his inauguration. The Hillary Clinton was about 6 inches shorter than the real Hillary Clinton. Or the first scenes from the White House, there were cars parked behind in the Oval Office, whatever his Oval Office was. So I mean, things like that,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
Let me throw some
that
science in
world
here.
is just like woo.
So
Let me
you go ahead, please, Judge Gina.
I want to augment what you're saying, Howard, Judge Howard, because it's good stuff. So some science. So apparently, and my background's in biology, cellular molecular developmental biology. So when you read the Bible and you talk about people that are living 400, 800 years, and we look at ourselves and go, wow, 77 years is so long, yay. Chromosome number 2 had deletions to it. And I think there were some deletions from chromosome number 3 as well. And these deletions were done intentionally to shorten the lifespan of the humans. To address the other issue, there are clones. There are clones. And a lot of these people, the Venusians or whatever that have a human body on Earth, Elena Denan as well, hers is not on Earth. These people do have, like, I don't know what this cryo, because they're never very specific about it, but they call it stasis. They have a body that's in stasis. When one of the, if you go back to the stories about, come on, Gina, no, the 2 creators of the human race. I have pictures in my mind of them, and I just got to get the names straight here.
Is it
it'll come
Anki?
to me.
Anki?
Enki
Yeah.
and Enlil.
Yeah. Mhm.
So apparently Enki has betrayed us. He's gone and sided up with Enlil's side and are trying to destroy us. But their creation, they were the ones that removed that section of chromosome 2, and at the same time created us as a slave race. And that's unfortunate, and that's kind of sad. But we have enough cognition and a connection to the Illuminator that overcomes all that. So I think when we're worried about age and we're worried about is it the real guy, is not, they can transfer the consciousness from. They can do this with the Space Force. If they can get to a soldier within 24 hours of his death, they can capture his soul and put it back into another body. The only problem is you might keep some of the memories that they have, but you won't have the cellular memories. that the body has gone through. So this is all out there. And the only way they can tell us this stuff, and it has been for decades, is by telling us through science fiction or science fiction fantasy, always that fiction in there, right? That's the only way. And when, what's his name that did Star Wars? Gosh, my brain's just farting today. He sat in his office and he watched two men in black come through the doorway and give him the Star Wars manuscript or whatever you want to call it. And it said, do not deviate from this. So we have all these movies out there, Stargate SG-1, Star Wars, Star Trek. I mean, there's so many movies out there that talk about, Lena Dinaan gets into some detail about how she can go visit her husband on the ships in space. He's Val Thor's commander, and his name is Thor Han. And Thor Han they are able to either transport you up, connect with your consciousness. And I think that's what happened with me when I was talking to what I'd have to call him an alien. But it's fascinating stuff, but it's all out there. Why would we think that 77 years is long? There are some of these people that are going to naturally be able to recover and live longer. Like we get all excited about somebody who's lived 105 years. Woo, oldest person on the planet. That was natural. That was not the Hopi, but in the Utah area, it might be partly the Hopi. They would live easily over 100 years, and their trick was they didn't have contaminated food. And the other thing was they drank the minerals that ran from the springs, and they have these people that are detailed as being easily over 100, according to the number of moons and so on. So I think the whole thing here is it's just part and parcel of trying to get rid of us. And if somebody unfortunately dies, put their consciousness into a clone, I don't know. But when I was watching Trump, there's just some things that didn't click. And then you look at Trudeau and the same thing. Things just kind of didn't click. The went and disappeared. The gap, I mean, that's just dental stuff. But just little things that kind of sit with you and they just don't sit right. Anyhow, that's just me babbling, but I hope that was informative for you.
Well, thank you very much. Really, yeah. Wow. I had a lot of fun yesterday. I downloaded the Substack app to my iPhone and I subscribed to Carrie Cassidy's Substack and I read her most recent Substacks on these issues and it was pretty wild. Anyway.
Maybe one final comment before we vote, unless somebody else has a final comment. Um, um, in terms of everything, all my information sources, and we're within 24 months of really having disclosure. I mean, it's not years away. It's not, we're talking months, 12 to 20.
Could you enlighten us as to why you're saying that?
Yes, because I think the timing of what we are about to vote on and the timing couldn't be better.
Okay.
In other words, here is a humanoid group of people concerned, a tribunal putting something forward, voting on something, and it's at the beginning of something that is going to it's just at the beginning of something that's going to be transformative for humanity as we move into disclosure.
And do you think that disclosure is going to be some person or thing is going to happen, or it's a process? It's like ascension.
I think it's going on right now. For example, I have people in my life that astral travel, and I think there are a lot of people who astral travel right now who have no memory of where they go, but I think they're being prepared. And there's other things like that happening. There is a preparation going on right now, and yeah,
i.e., we have crossed 2025, which was like the bookend year.
okay.
And so now we're in the ascension years.
Yes, and I don't think there's any turning back.
Great.
And so once again, I tend to all I can say is at the beginning of 2026, I felt more relief and hope than I have for the past 5 years.
Oh, great. That's very good news.
Yeah. Anyways, I
It's
yield.
the
Okay.
it's the awakening.
So, just to sum up, we got a positive vote. Is that it? Okay, so we got a positive vote. I set out what I'm going to do. I'm going to work for about the next week or so and develop all of the documents. I'll put them on our tribunal website. Gene, you may know it's at peaceinspace.org, peaceinspace.org. Once they're up, I'll send them out to the tribunal, and then I will start serving them on all the parties that we have stated. And then we'll serve them there and uh, you know, see what develops out of that. Okay, and then if any judge or boys or anyone would like to come forth and say that there's something, we'll just see what emerges out of that dynamic, because we are operating inside the sphere of natural law and inside the sphere of legal instruments. So things will happen. Great. Well, thank you very much. Uh, is there anything else?
Um, yes, I would like to say it was a pleasure meeting Gene, and also I haven't seen Bold Boys for a couple of years, so it's nice to connect with him today.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Boys, for participating in our tribunal.
Thanks. I don't know if I'm allowed to vote or not, but I agree with what you do, Judge Alford.
Thank
And
you.
nice to see you again, Howard Bertram. You're welcome to our weekly our Zooms. We're not on Zoom anymore because it's too open dialogue to the public, and
Okay.
we've gone into Signal and into Microsoft Teams.
Okay.
And Microsoft Teams does the same thing as we do here, except the world isn't open to what we are speaking to. So we're now more secure and private.
I see.
And we do open it to to the public, people that we know. And like during COVID, we had up to 60, 70 people, and now we're down to probably 10 or 20. But we also have many, many more that are joining us because uh, we are winning in the title race or the title lands of BC, as noted in the in public documents. The Cowichan, uh, the Tsimshian are now challenging theirs. I was thinking of a few more that have come about now. That we are, we're winning the program. We just are trying to uh, raise approximately $50,000 to into developing a gold reserve. That's
Oh,
probably enough to keep the rest of the people of Canada sufficiently fed and prosperous. So we're just trying to get involved with the new world banking. And there is a new digital bank that's being developed that we are going to be probably part of. But we also have the technology and the resource to fill in the blanks with our new bank, our Salmon Eagle Bank, to deal with this new World Bank. So it is, and it's sanctioned by the U.S. government, mind you. So we're just moving into a new, I would say, a new atmosphere. And you know what? I don't look at things on a negative note, but I also do things to progress our people. And your cease and desist order went a long way to removing Trudeau from that seat of his back 21, 22, and then 23 when he lost his public support went from 65 down to less than 30, I think, or something. They appointed Carney just after that. And you know what? You can't find on the internet any resources as to finding out that the king appointed him, and this is a bonded administrator, probate executor. Those exact words. You can't find it on the internet anywhere. And that's how there is no Prime Minister of Canada. There never has been. And so the governance of Canada is actually a what do you call there's a word for it that's it doesn't mean anything. It's just an appointment of somebody that's in charge of the slave ship. And Canada is a ship at port and signed at sea. And so if we understand, what real law is actually Indigenous law. That is the first law of the land here. And so thanks.
Interesting.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, okay, good. I also want to note that Judge Yvonne and Frederick say via chat, let's connect in our daily prayers. God bless everyone, poor humans on earth. And they send their greetings from Singapore. And that's I'm reading from the chat, and that's Judge Yvonne and Frederick who have participated via chat. Okay. So is there anything else? Well, thank you very, very much. I believe that this is once again an historic meeting that our tribunal, our humble tribunal, has participated in. And I look forward to our next connection. Thank you very much, Jean. Thank you very much, Howard, Judge Gina, Judge Bobois, and Judge Yvonne and Frederick. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
God bless.
God bless.